Oh, I've got it. We're good.
Okay. How do we get Milady off the screen? Is she still on everyone's screen?
Yeah. I mean, she could stay though.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to introduce everyone.
Yeah.
So, okay, we could do that.
Do you want me to stop sharing or do you want me to?
No, let's just keep you on. That'd be great. Because we can, and we have a nice group all the time, we like to introduce everybody. And so we get to know everyone's face. So why don't we go around? I'll just call out your names and we'll go around the horn, and we like to put faces to names so that we know who we're talking about and go from there. So Steve, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Steve Fenton, and I work with Mike with HMTRI. So good to see everyone.
Okay, and I'm Mike, and I'm facilitator for the PLCs and work with HMTRI. And we do all grantee meetings, and we do notes every 2 weeks. We have these sessions every other Wednesday, and we'll be talking about that a little later. Milady, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Milady Soto. I work with Pathstone Corporation. I'm currently leading the environmental job training programs in Puerto Rico, in addition to other programs, but we'll get into that later.
Okay. Hey, Rita, want to say hello to us? We're going to come back to Rita, I think. Okay, Nolan.
I'm Nolan Curtis. I work with Steve and Mike for quite some time. I'm retired. I used to be a contractor for the U.S. Department of Energy doing environmental cleanup at some of their former nuclear facilities.
Okay, Karen.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Govan. I'm the Director of Workforce Development here in Detroit, Michigan with Southwest Economic Solutions.
Okay, and Pam.
Hi, I'm Pam Karunkia with Energy Coordinating Agency in Philadelphia.
Okay, Wayne.
Excuse me, Wayne Mackey from Labor's Local 17 Training in Newburgh, New York.
Oh, Wayne.
Yeah, looking to get into some training and breaking into the Brownfield area.
We need to get your email address.
Contact
Wayne.
information.
Yes,
Okay.
because there's 2 people that, and congratulations.
Thank you.
We have a new grantee,
I'm
Wayne,
back.
Labor is 17, and he is going to be joining us, and we were missing him. So we're going to come back to Rita.
I'm
Rita?
here.
Okay, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rita Ware from Region 6, and I'm a coordinator.
Okay,
Any questions you have, ask me.
we'll have lots. Russell? Russell?
Yes, I have a lot of questions too. We'll get to that later. My name is Russell A. Hicks. I'm also with the Energy Coordinating Agency here in Philadelphia, along with Pam, and I'm the Recruitment and Placement Specialist.
Is that Will Lipscomb?
Bill Lipscomb.
Okay.
With the agency called KISRA here
Oh,
in
okay.
Charleston, West Virginia.
We're looking forward to working with you. Remember that you had applied for a grant once before, and we hear you're coming to the May 3rd meeting, which is fantastic. And I hope you're going to apply for a new grant, because I think you have a fantastic opportunity. Andrea Fobbs.
Hey everyone, Andrea Fobbs. I am from the HOPE program in New York City. I am a work readiness instructor and trainer.
Okay. Now I think I have a prisoner here, 3629091.
I'm not sure if you're referring to me to 36291. I'm Michael Holliday, and I work with Bill in Northern Region of West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Program manager.
Okay, Bill, welcome. Welcome. Shanti.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Shantae Benson with the West End Neighborhood House. I am the employment specialist and EPA coordinator.
Fantastic. Always good to have EPA people. Amy?
Hi, my name is Amy Penny. I'm with the Alaska Forum, and the Alaska Forum on the Environment all the way up in Alaska.
Great, welcome. Well, I don't know if you'd get the prize for the furthest. Who's further, Nolan in Hawaii or Amy? I think it might be Nolan.
I think Nolan wins.
Okay, Nolan, you get a prize.
Yay.
I hope you're taking notes. That's the prize.
Sure.
Larissa.
Yes. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
Well, we
Sorry, I
can't
was-
see you, but that's.
Oh, so sorry about that. Let me turn on my camera. So unfortunately, I'm home and sick today, so apologies for that. So I will be turning off my camera for the remainder of the session, but my name is Larissa Edwaru. I'm an analyst for Green Jobs and Workforce Development for the Department of Energy and Environment in Washington, D.C. We are really trying to penetrate the Brownfield job training sector, and I'm here to learn more and see what we can do in preparation of applying for this upcoming Brownfields grant.
Fantastic.
So thank you, Michael. Yeah, I've been able to learn a lot, and it's always nice hearing from colleagues across the board on what they've learned and how they're managing their program.
Yeah,
So
well, we hope you're feeling better.
thank you, Michael.
Michael Long.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael Long with the Full Employment Council in Kansas City, Missouri. We've been with EPA for a few years now, and always good to be with you all.
Great. Dina, did I miss you before? Diana?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Oh, hi, everyone. I'm Diana Napier. I'm with the Workplace. We're a workforce development board here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So glad to see you all.
Good. Thank you. Well, who did I miss? Did anyone? Okay. Well, we like to introduce as long as we can. When you get too many people, it's too hard, but we really like to put the names with the faces when we can. So.
Hey, Mike, you missed me. I'm Christine, Christine Blanche with SOBRO, the South Bronx Overall Economic Development Corp. We are a 2021 grantee in partnership with the City College of New York City. And we really focus in career trainings, development in economic recovery for at-risk populations in the Bronx and Northern Manhattan and Harlem communities.
Fantastic. Yeah, you've got job ahead of you. Great. And thank you for corresponding with us. Anyone else? Okay. Well, we like to introduce everyone. And so we put faces to names, and then we like to find out what's happening in Washington. And Steve, can you fill us in on anything we may have missed in the last 2 weeks?
Okay. Sure, I'll be glad to. And good to see everyone. And I'll give you just a brief overview, and then we've got Milady Soto here to give us a presentation on her program, which is absolutely fantastic. So I don't want to eat into that too much. But the latest from Washington, the Brownfields 2022, as you know, is scheduled to go in person the 16th of August through the 19th in Oklahoma City. And registration is now open. So I would encourage you, if you're going to go, you might start looking at, getting a room, making sure you're set up there. Also, if you're so inclined, they have a poster gallery where you can submit your poster ideas, and basically it's a venue for you to visually depict innovative ideas and practices of your Brownfields program, and then present findings. The posters will be displayed in the exhibit hall for the duration of the conference, and will feature an award for best overall poster and a People's Pick Award voted by conference attendees. The deadline to submit the poster idea is May 16th. And that information and a link to it will be in our notes, our PLC notes that you'll get at the end of the week. Also, just want to give you a kind of a heads up that the EPA released the Equity Action Plan alongside federal partners to advance environmental justice and civil rights. And that equity action plan, we have a link to that plan and its entirety in our notes, and it's something you're going to want to take a look at and familiarize yourself with. Also, the next event coming up, as many of you already know, is the May 4th mid-year virtual networking workshop that HMTRI is going to host. And we're really looking forward to seeing you there. If you haven't registered, please consider doing so. I'll put a link in the chat room for you to, if you haven't registered already, again, we'd like to see you. Also, we're going to be talking about something that we call the Grant Recipient Directory Scan. You may have already seen that come out. We're looking for all of the current grantees to complete the directory, and it's a chance for you to share information concerning your program, what kind of training you're offering, what kind of certifications you're offering, how people get a hold of you through your social media directory, email links, and so on, as well as all of your contact information. And we like to showcase that, particularly at the National Brownfields Conference, but also we post that online so that employers can better, more easily find you and take a look at your programs and then find out who the contact person is. We've sent out a link to fill out the directory, I think a couple times already, and we've had a few folks fill it out, but we really would like to get, all the participation because it helps us help you in marketing the program. I will also in the chat box today put a link to that scan document, and we'll be talking more about that on May 4th at our in-person meeting. And then also, again, heads up, if you don't have the dates already plugged in, October 11th through the 14th is going to be our annual all grantee meeting in person in Alexandria, Virginia. More details will be forthcoming on that meeting. Once we get through the May 4th meeting, we'll have registration up, and we'll also have hotel information to share. Also wanted to give a shout out to ECA. I have a couple of their representatives online today, and they're having a Energy Center tour April 29th at 8:30 at the ECA Night Green Jobs Training Center. So more information about that will also be in our notes for you to take a look at. We also would like to welcome back another grantee. Coalfields has been around many years ago, and now they've gotten a grant again, and we'd just like to recognize them and welcome Marilyn Wren and the folks from Coalfields. They're a social enterprise job training grantee, and again, we're glad to have them back. And in the notes this time, you'll see some of the things they're doing in terms of fundraising for their organization, like selling shirts and different things that they're doing. So keep that in mind. Then also a couple of questions that pop up. One question is, we just received an FY22 Environmental Job Training grant. Can we apply in FY23? And well, that's a good question. We're not sure yet, but we think maybe that will come up at our our virtual meeting May 4th. So there may be a possibility that you'll be allowed to look at supplemental funding. We don't know for sure, but it's a good question, and will probably be talked about in more detail May 4th. And then lastly, another question, is it too late to send in a video for our May 4th workshop? And no, not at all. If you do have any video about your program, your activities, please feel free to send that to us. We really like to showcase all of the programs, and the videos are fantastic. You guys do a great job with them. They don't have to be professionally produced either. I mean, some of the best ones have been just a an iPhone where somebody walks through and records, what their organization does and maybe talks to some of the folks. So we really kind of leave it up to your discretion, but we really enjoy seeing those. The APA folks really enjoy seeing them, and so do all the other grantees. So please consider sending those in to me if you're so inclined to want to share. So other than that, Mike, I think that's about all I have this week.
Great. Thanks, Dave. In fact, on those videos, they're hard to send sometimes. So if you have a link to YouTube, that works very well for us. So if you have a YouTube video that you'd like to share, just send Steve that link to that video, and then we can strip that. We can get a copy of that off of YouTube. So it'd be very easy to do. So again, I know how hard it is to transfer some of these large files, but just send them a link and that will be just fine. And we'd all like to see some of they might be recruitment videos, it might be a video of your facility or something like that, or even an announcement of something coming up. And as a matter of fact, regarding it, does anyone else have any announcements they'd like to make? Anything coming up that anyone would like to mention? We like to take this time and showcase anyone if they've got an open house or if they've got something that is coming up soon. Let us know. And if they don't have something at hand, you could email it to me and we'll make sure they're in the notes that'll go out Friday. Now, some of you, and we've got some new people, some of you may or may not have gotten invites. If you're not on the PLC list, just send your contact information to me would be the quickest way. msenyu@gmail.com and msenyu@gmail.com, and we'll make sure that you're on the PLC list. Sometimes people refer to it, just go up to the PLC and they may not be getting that. And the notes will give you all the links to everything, the announcements, upcoming events, and some funding opportunities. So make sure you jump onto the list. We're going to be looking forward to hearing from Coalfields. They're going to be with us on September 1st to talk about the reinstitute of their environmental job training program, and they've got quite it's a social enterprise like Recycle Force, and they do a lot of different things in 7 different areas, including environmental job training. With that, anyone have anything they'd like to add or discuss in that sense? Okay, we're going to talk for a second after Milady talks about Puerto Rico. We're going to talk a little bit about the May 4th meeting and preparing for that. And I'd like to get your ideas on some of the things. We're going to have an opportunity to have David Lloyd there, so we may be able to pin him down on some of those questions that we're not sure about. We'll talk about that later. Well, Pathstone's, again, one of the outstanding grantees. They've been with us since 2015. 4 grants they've re-upped, and Milady is zeroed in on Pathstone efforts there with Puerto Rico. And I think with that, I'll just turn it over to Milady, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Milady.
Thank you for the opportunity. So good afternoon. My name is Milady Soto, as Mike mentioned. My contact information is on the slide. If you need further information of what I talk about today, or you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. So Pathstone Corporation, let me see if it's not switching. Yep, here we go. Okay, sorry. So Pathstone Corporation, we're actually a nonprofit organization, and we were founded in 1969 in Rochester, New York. That's where actually our central offices are, and I'm located in Puerto Rico. We've been offering services in Puerto Rico since 1998. And now, as you can see, we offer services in all those states, including Puerto Rico. Our most recent state that received funding from the Department of Labor was Maine. We have a National Farm Worker Jobs Program out there, and we're hoping in the future to have an environmental job training in Maine as well. So Pathstone, we build self-sufficiency, individual self-sufficiency, and we try to strengthen not only the farm workers, which was our main program at one point, but now we've kept growing, and we promote social justice through our programs and advocacy. So we have three different divisions. We have a direct services division, which is the division I currently work with. That's training and employment services to adults, youth, and seniors. We have a housing division, which was the first division in Puerto Rico in 1998. We offer counseling, real estate development, and housing rehabilitation and reconstruction. And we also have an economic development division, which we offer loans to small businesses. And we also help our participants that are wanting to create their own businesses. We also do it through that economic development program. So these are our locations in Puerto Rico. We actually have a total of 10 offices. We're distributed according to regions. So that way we make sure that we can offer services to all 78 municipalities. I'm located in Arecibo, up north in Puerto Rico. So that's right at the top in the middle.
Well, lady, are we not switching slides? Does anyone else have that issue?
Oh, yeah, I don't see.
No, it's not changing.
It's not?
No, I think you have to, yeah.
We may have to close out the and then reopen your slide deck.
Or she can go down there either way. She might be able to just scroll over and click on the full screen.
Okay, I just stopped sharing for a moment. Thank you for mentioning that. I wasn't, for me, it's changing.
Oh.
Let's see.
Well, we're all novices. There we go. Direct services, that came up. Okay, we're on that.
Now, if you click on the full screen part.
It is on full screen.
How about go to slideshow and then from current slide?
Yeah, you got to scroll over, I think, and click on the next to
There we
the.
go. That just switched. Total of 10, it says here.
All right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, are you seeing as a slideshow now or no?
It's not a show, it's just showing up that particular
It
slide.
shows all of your slides to the left of our screen. But
Oh,
I think
really?
if you click on that little button next to the %, that'll make it full screen, and then it'll just advance.
Yeah, on my end, because that's why I say slideshow. Next to the %, it's the slideshow button where you could see the entire screen, but you're mentioning that you don't see that.
Okay.
If you go up to that slideshow up on top, click that, and then all the way up on top, there should be by your PLC presentation. Right there, yep. And then from current slide or beginning, wherever you want to start.
Can you see it now? Switching?
No, because I think we're still in the old one. If you go, do you have something to start a new share up on top? All the way up on top.
Yeah, I would have to stop share. Let's see. I just hit new share, but. Can you see the slides on the left?
Yes.
And
Yep.
the middle?
Yeah. Can you,
If I switch it, can you see that?
Yes, you can do
Okay.
it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it this way because when I do it entire, you won't be able to see it. Okay, so what I was mentioning was that my office is right here where it says Arecibo up north. And we have a total of 10 offices throughout Puerto Rico, so we can provide the services to all 78 municipalities. And through our direct services program, which is the program I currently work with, we offer services through these different programs. Our initial program was the National Farm Worker Jobs Program. And this program actually assists agricultural workers and their dependents with job training and placement into stable employment. We have a DOL emergency housing program where we provide emergency assistance for residential services. Our senior community service and employment program, we help low income and unemployed individuals that are aged, why is this doing this? That are aged 55 and older to find work. We have 2 youth build programs running right now. Youth Build assists high school dropouts ages 18 through 24 that live in certain municipalities of Puerto Rico. We help them achieve their high school diploma, and afterwards they will go into training in construction areas or completing their post-secondary education. We have our environmental work first programs, which I'll be going into detail in a minute. We have our reentry programs, which is the reintegration program that assists young adults ages 18 and 24 as well with criminal records. And we assist them also with job training and employment services, also post-secondary education. We have our Economic Development Administration program. Our EDA program, it's an island-wide effort, also training and employment services. And with that program, we actually offer technical assistance in addition to training in the solar and construction sectors. Basically, it's to prepare workers for the existing and emerging jobs in those sectors. We have a Cdbg program, the Workforce Training Program. This one is also training and employment, and it's an island-wide effort for those with little resources. We have our Farmers and Ranchers and Rural Works. These are USDA funded programs that are aimed at providing direct education and skills for agricultural employers. We have health and safety programs, which are aimed at providing orientations on health and safety practices with pesticides, how to avoid heat stress, tractor driving safety, communication on chemical hazards, prevention and safety with COVID-19. And basically the focus is to educate our farm workers in those areas. We have our Pathway Home, which is kind of like the reentry program. It's also job training for those that have had problems with the justice. Where you see here PLCHA, that's actually a separate program that we did under a different corporation, under our Pathstone Island Services Corporation. And that's like a secondhand store where we created that in order for all the funding, those resources that we obtain, we help those individuals that don't qualify for our current programs, because we've had that happen regularly where people come and they don't qualify for any of our programs, but they really do need the help. So with PLCHA, we're able to help them. We are a sub-grantee with National P to NIHS funding, where we provide safety and disaster response training to prepare students and communities to respond to disasters. We have a business and employer, we offer business and employer services where we maintain relationships with a network of employers, providing them with skilled, pre-evaluated candidates that are ready to begin working. Our job developers are specialized in understanding each employer's unique requirements, which is really important for all of our programs. And they prepare the candidates in order, depending on the needs that those employers have. And we offer emergency and support services. These services are provided for one-time emergency needs of disadvantaged people and to stabilize for education and training for employment services. So we have a wide variety of programs in Pathstone. In terms of our key partnerships, we have memorandums of understanding with over 350 organizations. We probably have much more now, but partnerships for us are really, really important. It's always been a best practice for us because without our partners, maybe we wouldn't be able to obtain free training space or transportation or certain services that we may not be able to pay with the funding we currently have. Our partners can help with that. Some of our partners to mention would be local one-stops, the municipalities we have really good relationships with, the mayors, educational institutions, other Pathstone programs. It might sound weird, but with the different programs that we have in Pathstone, I'm actually able to leverage a lot of funding. So if I don't have funds with the EPA funds for a certain service, I can provide it through one of the other programs. An example would be residential assistance. One time I had a participant that was left basically homeless and he needed emergency assistance. With EPA, we don't have funds to be able to offer that service. So I was able to leverage funding with our NFJP program and we were able to provide that assistance. So that for us is really important as well. We also have a volunteer group that help us with all our programs, with advocacy, going to communities and doing community meetings to help us get our information out and what services we have available to provide. So with our work, with our EPA programs, as Mike mentioned, we've been awarded since 2015. We have actually had 4 job training programs, but we've had 2 additional EPA grants, smaller grants, but they're to provide, they were to provide services to youth. With this specific one, the Workforce Development Job Training Program, we're actually completing the 4th one right now, the 3rd one, sorry. We're completing it, which ends in 2022. The mission with this one is to train and find job opportunities in the environmental jobs. And our basic training program include the HAZWOPER, pesticide management, OSHA. We offer CPR first aid, forklift, and after that's our core. And after that, our participants are able to choose whether they go towards lead and asbestos remediation or heavy truck driving, which we offer in Puerto Rico. We offer the category 9. We don't have the CDL authorized here, but we offer it with the hazardous materials endorsement and TWIC. With this program, we provide services to unemployed or underemployed and residents to 6 municipalities currently, and our amount is $200,000. In terms of the services specifically that we provide, we do the outreach, recruitment, assessments, training, job supports, job development, placement, and retention. So after we place the participants, we try to follow up for at least a year and a half in order to maintain that retention and follow up to see how these certifications help them obtain those jobs. So our newest award is the Brownfield Jobs Training Program. This was now awarded in 2022. We haven't begun yet with this program. I understand we should be able to begin in the next couple months. And basically, we're also going to be training and finding job opportunities in environmental jobs. The difference with the curricula on this one is where we have all the same ones, but we added mold remediation because that's a really big problem in Puerto Rico. Our population is also unemployed and underemployed. And with this one, we're going to be providing services to residents of 9 different municipalities. In terms of, I didn't mention the outcomes for this program. Since 2015, we've honestly been able to meet and exceed in all areas of each program every single time. And thankfully, we've had a lot of support in terms of the residents of the municipalities that we're serving. And it shows the need that there is for this type of funding and this type of training. I have a success story I'm going to be sharing, but in Puerto Rico, I don't know if you are aware, but the minimum for hourly wage used to be $7.25 until now in January 2022, where it went up to $8.50. And still $8.50 is not really enough to actually have, a good quality of life. So I think the biggest difference where these programs have made is in the amount of wages that our participants are actually getting now. And that has definitely been because of the certifications that they have obtained. Our enrolled and completed training usually were between 90 and 100%. And those people that enter all the training usually complete all the training. And I think the biggest part of this would be in how we provide the initial orientation and what type of screening we use with these participants for them before they start the training to make sure that they're really committed, they're really interested, and these are the type of jobs that they want. So that's really important. These are the projects on the island. So we've had 6, like I mentioned earlier, with EPA. The first one was on the south side. The second was on the north in my area currently, but we were just offering services to 3 municipalities. The third project, you'll see it's here in Vieques. The reason why we had that third project was because this was actually for after Hurricane Maria. Vieques, basically, we had no contact with them. Their hospital wasn't working. We couldn't get to them in order to help them, and they couldn't get out. It's just a really small island away from Puerto Rico. So we went there after the impact from Hurricane Maria in order to offer services to these youth and show them how to do rapid needs assessments, how to respond to these disasters, how to locate resources. They had training in coastal erosion, motivational training, job skills preparation. So that was a really, really nice project that we had, and that was specifically with youth. Our fourth project was also in my area up north, but we extended it to 6 municipalities instead of 3. Our fifth project you're going to see is right here in the middle in Ay Bonito. That was also to youth, kind of how we served in Vieques, but this is more of a mountainous area in Puerto Rico. And they had a lot of safety and first aid training. And our 6th project, which is the newest, the Brownfield job training, which we're going to be offering services to the 9 municipalities in this little purple area. One of our main, in terms of outreach for recruitment, we try to do a lot of promotional efforts. We go to television. There's 2 pictures. These 2 in the middle are actually last week where I was on a television show with that actor, and we were talking about the services that EPA provides, what we've been able to do with these programs throughout the years. There you can see a couple of our flyers. You see like a Zoom meeting down bottom, but that was actually a meeting that we promoted through social media. And we had more than 400 attendees in order to listen to what types of services we provide with these programs. And here is news clippings and also another, on the right, you'll see the lady in red. She's interviewing one of our participants. Her name is Naisabeth Vargas, but she is actually now an employee of Pathstone Corporation. So these are the kind of opportunities also that our participants can get, because if they demonstrate the knowledge that they get throughout these programs, they can actually help us in the future to keep recruiting for our program. So she actually went through the EPA program, and now she's able to help us recruit and talk to those that she's recruiting about her experiences with the EPA program. Here are a couple of pictures of lead and asbestos up top, HAZWOPER on the left, and in the bottom. These are a couple of pictures of our trainings. Additional pictures with forklift, truck driving. We have participants in CPR. And on the right bottom, it was our OSHA group. Here we have our Pathstone staff actually went through disaster response training last month, where I mentioned to Steve, there was a picture here in the presentation. The picture up top, that's our group of disaster responders in Puerto Rico. That's one of the efforts we're doing in conjunction with National P, and it's also one of the new trainings that we're offering to all of our participants. So we're doing that in conjunction as well. And more pictures of HAZWOPER. Here's one of our biggest success stories with the EPA program. His name's Stephen Rivera. He was actually underemployed, and when he came into the program, he was a part-time security guard earning $8 an hour. So basically, he wanted stable, full-time employment. He wanted a better quality of life. And he was interested in all of the trainings that the curricula that our EPA program has to offer, because he was a security guard, but he was a security guard at a chemical plant. Basically, at that time, they had him more like in the entrance, not doing anything specific. But once he was able to go through our programs and obtain all of those certifications, he actually received a new position as a coordinator and security manager in that chemical plant. And from $8, he went up to $18 because of the certifications he received with the EPA program. So we're super excited for Stephen. We're really happy that he was able to meet his goals. And obviously this is a type of life-changing processes that we help the participants go through. Those are our pages. We have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And that is our pathstonepuertorico.org is where you can go in and see more of our workforce development area, our economic development area, housing. Basically, you can read a little bit more about Pathstone. And that's it. If you have any questions.
Awesome.
Oh, we got a lot of questions.
Yes.
I'll kick off. You've done some disaster site work, or training just a couple of weeks ago. How are you approaching training in this COVID transition? What strategies are you using? Are you wearing masks? Are you social distancing, or how are you handling that?
In Puerto Rico right now, it's actually mandatory to wear a mask. So we need to wear a mask at all times. At one point, about a month and a half ago, they had taken out that mandate of the mask, but they just put it back on about a week ago, because we're back up to about 14% in terms of COVID. So basically, we try and make sure that all our participants keep their masks on. We try and do the social distancing. It's not always completely possible, but that's why we require the masks. Our groups have had to be smaller than what we were used to before. You saw the picture of disaster response where it was just all Pathstone staff, and that was a big group. But usually our training groups are between 10 and 15 participants, no more than that. That way we can be able to have them be distanced. So it's been a slower process in terms of training completion and our goals. But we've had to do that because of COVID.
Mm-hmm. Could you, it's my ignorance, when you do the Class A, and you've got a hazmat addendum on that, and the TWIC,
Mm-hmm.
What is that acronym for? TWIC.
The TWIC is, I don't know what it actually stands for, but it's the license that it permits our, when you're
it's the transportational worker identification card.
Oh, okay.
They can go into our ports and stuff. They need that specifically to go at least on the ports in Puerto Rico.
Okay. It sounds like it's a universal card. It's like an ID card.
Yes.
So it's for people who operate or work as laborers, or in the operations of at cargo sites, ports, things with large cargo coming in. So specifically via ship in, but certain airline industries also like the TWIC as a preferred card as well.
Right. Yeah, they get a background check in order to be able to get those.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You were mentioning your screening process. Could you walk us through how you go from 0 to accepting someone into the program? Do you have seminars? I know it sounds really neat that you're doing some really neat things on awareness, TV, flyers, Zoom. So all of a sudden you got to say, people, I want to do this. How do you get from there into the program?
Well, basically, we hold a lot of meetings. It could be virtual, it could be in person. If they're in person, obviously with the required safety measures. But we try and get a lot of promotion out there in order for us to get these groups together, so we can go out to the communities and basically we use more of our success stories at first so they can be interested in the program. But then we would have to sit one-on-one with each individual person. We try and provide them a full orientation of each and every training that they need to go through, the amount of hours, what these training consists of, because with HAZWOPER, you know, physically it is demanding. So we just try and make sure that they really understand what they're getting themselves into in terms of the completion of these trainings and what it requires. And that way they can make the decision on their own whether they want to participate or not. Because sometimes people would just say, you know, oh, I want to take part, I want to receive these certifications, but they don't really know how much commitment you know, it requires. And, you know, they have to do homework and they have to take tests and all of that. And some people just don't like it. Besides the curriculum with EPA, we do work with a lot of dual enrollment since we have so many programs. So we probably have one participant that can probably benefit from 2 or 3 programs. That only adds to the amount of training that participant would have to take. So an initial orientation of all the details and the specifics and, you know, that commitment is really important. We do not do drug screening. At least we do not do that. We would get to that point if they are offered employment, but obviously we orient them in terms of, you know, that they shouldn't be using.
Good to know. There's some hands up. Steve, do you want to check the hands up? And Andrea, you had your hands up.
Yes, thank you. Milady, great job. Wanted to know, I know we just added on in my training program, the asbestos and the HAZWOPER, and I just suggested the forklift. And I was curious about the disaster response training, which I inboxed you. But I wanted to ask, what is the age requirement? And also, like you said, with the multiple program, how long is a traditional program? So do they just come into just doing certifications, or is there a soft skill, essential skills component to it?
Yeah, there is a soft skill part to it where we usually try to begin with that. We call it a job readiness training. And there it's more motivational interview tips and, you know, do's and don'ts. We have a cognitive part. It's called PX2, where we go through, it's a 2-day training where they watch videos and they do activities as teamwork. So we do have a soft skills part of it. That's not directly with the EPA, but we do offer it to them because the people that do these trainings are our own staff. So whichever type of training that we have been able to certify our staff or our staff or authorize them to provide the training, we offer it. Disaster was one of those. With disaster response, we have a really great partnership with National PEAT. So when we began this partnership, our interest was getting our staff prepared with different, you know, certifications for us to be able to keep offering different trainings to our participants and not having to pay an external provider for these services. In terms of age for the disaster, since most of our programs are 18 and over, we just keep that as an age for disaster because we do it concurrently with our other programs.
But you have are all your trainers on staff? Or
Not all.
Oh, okay.
No, not all. We have our staff, a lot of them are trained in different areas. They're certified. Like I personally can offer HAZWOPER, I can offer OSHA. We have staff that offer the job readiness. So different staff are authorized in different areas, but we do go out to external providers for the truck driving, for the lead and asbestos, for the CPR, forklift. So there's certain ones that we get external providers for.
Any other questions? It's an incredible program. Now, some programs will, particularly programs like yours will, they might have multiple programs and then they'll pick almost a pick of the liver. If someone's doing really good in one program and they want to learn more and they really decide they want to go to the environmental, they'll move into environmental. Do you do life skills first to weed out the non-motivated, or how do you weed out those who are really going to go the distance.
Yeah, we do. We do the life skills first because since it requires them to do some testing, to do some assessments and evaluations, that's where we can actually see their interest and their responsibility in terms of complying with hours and days. Because our soft skills training, the job readiness, that's a 40-hour training program. So they're already there for 1 week doing training. They don't get paid. They don't get a stipend for any of this type of training. So we are really looking at who's interested and who's not throughout these programs.
Milady, we have 2 questions. I see Andrea Fobbs and then Nolan. I see their hands raised. So Andrea.
Oh, I asked the question. She answered it perfectly.
I saw
Sorry,
your
let
hand.
me put my hand down.
That's okay. All right, Nolan.
Hi, Milady. First of all, just an incredible program. So, thank you for sharing that with all of us. You mentioned the number of MOUs you have, and obviously with a lot of multiple programs. Overall for your organization, what's your administrative burden? How much of your person power is used in keeping up with all these things and running the administration of the program versus the training of the program?
Right now in Puerto Rico, we have, I understand, 42 staff. Those 42 staff are divided into different programs. For mine specifically, I can tell you my EPA program has 1. I count on 1 staff for the EPA program. Our numbers are pretty high and it's a lot of training. So each staff does have a pretty heavy load in terms of a work plan. For the MOUs, like you said, those are the amount of MOUs we have throughout all our programs. And we try to do these alliances with these organizations that can help us or that can benefit all the programs. So we basically count them all as a whole. But each program besides EPA and EDA that only have 1 staff, each other program maybe counts on 4 or 5 staff to do the work. So.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It really demonstrates the importance of partnership development, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. And teamwork. And I mean, I know I can always, me personally, I administer the EDA program, I administer the EPA program, and I administer the NFJP program. So I actually have under me various programs and about just 6 staff to get all the work done. So we need teamwork. Definitely.
Milady, I don't know if you saw down in the chat box, there were a couple of comments left. There weren't questions, but just comments about your program.
Okay.
Very positive comments.
An outstanding program.
Yeah.
It really is.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to put these in the notes and we'll put as much information as we can, but certainly you may want to contact Milady.
Mike, I see another hand there. Shan.
Okay.
Shan?
Yes, I have a question. So I know that you stated the age parameters that you have for your program. So with my particular program, initially we had something similar. So we were doing 17 through 24, but we were having a lot of hiccups with trying to obtain people within that age range. So did you experience any issues with obtaining people within that specific age range? And if so, how did you overcome that?
Recruitment for all our programs has always been a challenge. So that's why our promotional efforts, we try to go above and beyond in terms of, what we do different. We'll go on television, we'll go on the radio, we're on social media. So newspapers, whatever we can find, we're going to be there. That way, at least to get the information out. Recruitment has also been a challenge, unfortunately, because 1, the government benefits that people receive, the extensions recently or in the last couple of years with all the unemployment benefits. So like I mentioned, our hourly wage is $8.50 now. It used to be $7.25. So throughout COVID, these people were getting all of these benefits. They didn't want to work. So it was really hard. It was really hard. So basically there, usually we go to the participants that have already taken part in our programs and have them help us maybe through referrals or contacting people they know. And it's a lot of outreach. It's a lot of field work. But that's basically how we were able to overcome that. And we're providing services to between 60 and 70 people with each program. So at least with the EPA. With our NFJP, we offer services to about 700. So it's a lot of outreach.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A good question on retention, and some grantees are actually able to get stipends. It can't be from EPA, but they are able to do that or provide luncheons. They can get some local restaurants to donate luncheon. Have you been able to breach any of those things yet? They're tricky things. You've got to get lucky to find a partner like that.
Through the Department of Education, actually, we had them for a couple months. It was a summer program for our Youth Build program. The Department of Education actually offered free lunches for about 3 months. So we were able to get that. One of the things that I try to do when you're looking for proposals from external providers, I always try to integrate the needs of my participants. One, which is transportation usually. Two, food, because if they're not working, it's kind of hard for them, to have lunch money and stuff. So I do at times, and I have providers that have given us proposals where they include free lunch or snacks to the participants during training. And we're not paying any of that. It's just something that they are including and they're willing to give. So I think it's a conversation that you need to have maybe with the providers or with making other alliances with municipalities usually have money for these types of stipends and services. Our one-stops, we also have a really good, we work really well with them because maybe the one-stops, they have similar funding, maybe not the same, but maybe they can pay one thing, we can pay another if we have, a participant that is registered with the one-stop. So we've done that as well, where in some EPA doesn't have on-the-job training services, but we have the occupational skills. So at one point with the local one-stop, they paid for OJTs where our participants were actually able to get, before the actual placement, they were able to get more experience. So those are the type of things we need to do with our partners. So the partners are really important.
Milady, there was a question from Andrea down in the chat box. It just asked, are there any paid internships with local companies?
We haven't done any, no, not at this point.
You've got to kind of get lucky, and someone who's really got the resources. And I don't know if you have any go-to employers. Again, that's a matter of luck. You might have a tank manufacturer and says, I'll take everyone who's got confined space or something, but that's maybe a matter of luck and rarity than it is a continuous operation.
Yeah, in our placements, we've been able to place a lot of our participants right after training, because another one of our best practices is before offering the training, we visit the employers, we verify, we do a needs assessment with the employers. That's how we work on our proposals. Usually we have a needs assessment, we verify what is it or what type of training is it that they really need before even writing the proposal. So then we have those commitment letters where they say, once they're authorized or certified in these certain areas, send them to me, we're going to hire them. So we do have a lot of employer commitment letters because at least here in Puerto Rico, there's a lot of work. There's little people and lots of work. So we get calls from employers all the time.
That's good to have.
Yes.
Every grantee is different. And in Alaska, we were talking about that, where they may have a job before they enter the program, but they need skill upgrades, and they're because of the training they receive with the EPA program, they're able to move into a job that maybe didn't exist or a much better job than they've got at the time.
Yeah, like our success story, like Stephen, he was already working, but he was part-time, and after the certifications, he got a much better job, much better paying job as well. So
awesome. Nolan, yeah, I see your hands up.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the interruption earlier. I was just curious, from a gender equity standpoint and recruitment, are you using different strategies, or what are you doing in terms of participation from women versus men, I guess?
We do get a lot of participation from women. And I think that's part of the promotion as well that we offer. The employers help us in that area because there's actually a lot of employers that are seeking these non-traditional jobs for women. And so once we have these employer commitment letters, we can even do like a job fair where, in order to get that job, you need to go through this training. So we actually do have a lot of women as well as men in our training groups. And that's part of the promotional part of it, those efforts.
Fantastic. If any of you think of questions, Milady, you could just return the notes that come on Friday, and we'll make sure Milady gets them, but we'll have her email and contact information so you could contact her directly on anything specific.
There it is on the screen as well, just in case. There's my
Great,
email.
let's keep it up there for a while. And I'm just going to hit one more thing before we end today to keep you from spending all your time on Zoom today. May 4th is going to be our networking workshop. And we're going to hit on 3 basic topics. And we're going to zoom down on those topics, and it is going to be freewheeling. There won't be any PowerPoints. There will be asking questions and answering what people do or what they think they should do or what other people are doing, just to do brainstorming on those key services that we've got. If you haven't signed up, we'll have the sign up in the notes that go out on Friday. One interesting thing, well, 2 interesting things. You're going to have a chance to meet with your regional coordinators, where they're going to break into groups, and you'll be able to ask them some questions off the record, just you and them, and what if you're having some issues or have questions, or if you haven't applied yet, make sure they get your name and contact information so you can get on their listservs. Many of the regions have listservs to get you in on the loop. But we're also going to have David Lloyd there. And this gives us a chance to ask some questions. And whether or not we'll get answers is a good, we don't know how far EPA is along with their planning. We know the amount of money that may go into job training grants may double. It's going to be a windfall, but how that windfall is spent is something that I think we have a chance, if they haven't already decided, to perhaps influence the conversation. I'm going to send to Channing, and it'll go to Dave, some questions that we're interested in how we might spend that money for the grantees. And does anyone, what is your thinking in terms of your wish list if the new grant guidelines came out and they could say anything? What would you like to see on that list? Any freestyle, just some freestyle questions? Go ahead.
It'd be great if there was allowability for some supportive services.
Support.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stipends, particularly.
Okay.
I see that down in the chat box too, Mike.
Okay.
Stipends, training wage for program participants.
Okay. Anything else? I've always got ideas. Okay, good. Did you raising your hand or waving to somebody? Christine, what would you like to see? I'm going to throw out a couple. But,
Michael,
go ahead.
I would like to see any kind of support for buying materials for training.
Okay.
Or check for possibilities to do hands-on on the house warper. That the whole personal protection equipment and other kind of activities with respirators and different types of respirators. So that are part of the HAZWAPER training.
So if I hear you correctly, the one basic thing is more money per grant. I mean, that might be a good start. Just more than 200,000, maybe 300,000 or 400,000.
They just raised it to 500.
500, yeah, more than
I
that.
think they announced that.
They could go up to 1 million if they wanted to, but whether or not that'll happen, I don't think. Well, here are the variables. Okay, you could increase the funding per grant. That's one. Two, you could give out more grants. They gave out 19 the last time, 18 the time before that. The time before that, they gave out 26 because they had the money. So they can increase the number of grants. They could increase the amount of the grants. Another thing they might do is increase the duration of the grants. Right now, it's 2 power years and a close down year, 3 years. They can, and I'm hoping they'll keep the annual competition. If they were to, there was a time when they were thinking of, let's just do a competition every 2 years. Well, the problem with that is you put a team together and you spend a lot of time on writing a grant, and you've got your team and your partners and you've got your advisory committee lined up, and for whatever reason you don't get a grant that year. With annual grants, you could hold that team together, but if it's every 2 years, it makes it tougher to hold that together. So I think, I don't know how you all feel, but I think if they could keep that annual competition going, it gives a person who doesn't make it the first year to improve their grant and to go in the next year for one, which is the current status.
Mike, down in the chat box, there's a couple comments. One, better resources for childcare, tools, and additional training vouchers. And then there's also allowable costs inclusive of wraparound services, remedial and soft skill training, fundamental services to increase optimal outcomes for participants during the training and well beyond. And then, yeah, those were just provided down the comment section.
One caution with that, and I, we all hear about government and smokestacks. This program was originally sanctioned, it goes way back to CERCLA, and then it's been renewed in the Brownfields law. But section 104B, it goes back to the fact that EPA, you could train people to clean up waste sites. That wording, it's not a Department of Labor program. You can't train people in all aspects of it. And so I'm not sure if they're going to be restricted to a smokestack, and in two ways. One, can they provide money for wraparound services? And the question is, they may have to do some gymnastics to say, well, that's integral to training. And that's a possibility. Maybe they'll figure out a way of doing that. The other area is it's pretty money that's coming through OBLR, which negates the ability to do things, say, in air programs or in water programs. So there are two restrictions that I see as workarounds that maybe they could do. It'd be nice if they can do it, but I wouldn't be shocked if they don't. One is, you're not going to be able to do non-EPA remediation type training. You're going to have to, that's why they've always said leveraging and partnerships are so important. You won't be able to do wraparound. It's got to be cleanup, EPA cleanup with this program. That could be one stumbling point. The other one is whether or not you're going to be able to do training, say, in radiation or air, who are not in the OBLR universe. And we're going to find that out. And maybe we'll be able to pin David Lloyd down on these issues in 2 weeks. So I would say tune in. We're going to express to them before that meeting these are the questions that the grantees are concerned about. And if you could answer any of those, we'd appreciate it. You know, whether or not they've gotten that far, they may not know, but no point in no need. Why not ask? The other big question is supplemental. Can you apply for a supplemental? So if you got a, as Milady said, we got a 22 grant, but we'd like, if they're going to go in and give everyone 500,000 or more, we'd like to get another 200,000 or 300,000, and we need it. So it's logical to me that if they've got the resources, why not allow everyone to apply? And if you applied last year, it would be a supplemental. If you applied 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it would be a full grant. So we'll see that wording as we get closer. And I hope we don't have to wait till the guidelines come out, because when guidelines come out, it's 60 days to write your grant. We're kind of pushing for some sort of early guidance so that if you're a 22 grantee, you could start enhancing your grant to justify why you need the extra 200,000 supplemental or whatever. So we'll be talking about that on the 4th, and David's going to address the group, and again, whether or not he'll have the questions and whether or not he can respond to them, we'll see at that time. He may just say we can't release it, or we haven't decided yet. So, but we'll see.
Nolan, is that a new hand up?
Yes, I think it's really critical to focus on the overlap between your programs and really what is the mission of the agencies that are funding the programs. And so, you know, as to echo what Mike was saying for EPA, you know, one of their core, you know, reasons for these was to return or improve these neighborhoods and close-in remediation sites. And so, you know, hence it's not a Department of Labor employment program. It's very specific or can be very specific to environmental cleanup. And then the political angle on that is local employment. So, you know, that's the overlap for the agency. They have to go back to Congress and say, we want you to fund this because this is giving people jobs, you know, and increasing the economic viability, you know, of these neighborhoods in your district. And so I think it's really important. The programs have a lot of very legitimate needs, but to really try to tie those needs into where the agency is really trying to go and what their sort of defense of the program is within Congress.
It certainly would be nice to be able to hire more than one person that's full-time staff because of the budget restrictions. And so, you know, certainly it's justified to increase. Let's go for more money. So
right. And so, but if you can always make that into a metric of, by doing this, we can create more job-ready citizens. By doing this, we can, you know, clean up these neighborhoods or these industrial sites or these, you know, sites that are contaminating neighborhoods or bringing them down economically.
Certainly one thing that we're going to see, there's going to be more emphasis on EJ screened. The Justice 40 effort is there's no money or grants associated with Justice 40, but it directs all agencies to focus more on underserved communities. And in the EPA universe, EJ Screen is a big one in identifying what neighborhoods would be best to apply the resources to. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot in terms of working with EJ Screen. And we'll talk about that at future PLCs when you're choosing your target community. So anything else? Steve, any more comments that?
No, just, I mean, just a few down there that trickled in, not necessarily questions, more comments.
Okay. Well, no PLC on the 4th, but a big meeting from 12 to 4. We're going to have an after hours party, which will be videos. Send in your links to YouTube if you have anything up there. The way we're doing that is Steve's going to introduce the person whose video it is. They could explain a little bit about the video or what it's about, and we'll run those for a while. And then we'll talk about in our breakout sessions, which will be small, we'll brainstorm on different ideas on developing partnerships, recruitment and retention, and curriculum. So,
And if you haven't registered, you still have time.
Yep.
And by the way, Karen, thank you for volunteering to help us out as every quarter. You may be hearing from us.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
we'll get her, we'll have to send her. Now, if you're a recorder, you get a free HMTRI pen. Is that, can we do that? We're also on a restricted budget. They're nice though, they're gel pens.
The masses
love
will be
pens.
swarming to get one of those pens, Mike.
Yeah, now you let the secret out, everyone's gonna want to do it.
Right.
That's true. Okay, Steve, I
All
guess
right.
you could turn the recorder off and we'll,
All right.
now we'll see you on the 18th.